Oh hello, welcome to another Tabletop Impulse video. Today we're going to do a faction rundown for the Euclidean Starstriders because this is the team that I'm the most hype about out of the 4 teams that have dropped or will be dropping next weekend. Let's get straight into it because we have 17 slides. So, introduction. We've got Recon and Security, 2 of my favourite decks. Security has taken a real beating in Into the Dark, though, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that at the end of this video. Yeah, I don't think that has quite sunk down in people's minds yet. It's a fixed list kill team. It does exactly what is in the box, no more and no less. Okay, good. Right, special rules, warrant of trade. So I love me a grid, you know, of special rules. It reminds me of Faith Points. Special things I can do. Brilliant. So let's look at this properly. Up to 3 times per game you can use a warrant of trade ability. Each ability specifies when it can be used and you must inform your opponent when you do so, and you can't use the same ability more than once per game. And these go in order of when you would choose to use them. So once you've passed the point of no return, you can't decide to go back and use them. So you've got Coerce. In the select drop zone step, after rolling off to decide attacker and defender, you can re-roll your dice. I really don't like this one. The only time I would ever use this is if you find yourself playing on a table where the terrain is so biased, like it's been set up so badly that you genuinely think that the picking a drop zone is going to swing the whole game, and then maybe in that specific circumstance you'd go, okay, well I'll use a re-roll to re-roll my dice, especially because you can see, you know, I'm thinking if your opponent rolls a 2 and you've rolled 1, you can at least see the odds of you getting the result that you want. So if those things are in your favour, maybe, but only then. Coordinate is very hard to pass up. You'll see at the end of the video when we get into the command point abilities. Like an extra command point is extremely difficult to pass up. It's the same with, if we can dip down to consideration. Consideration I would find very difficult not to take every single game because the equipment is very good. Adaptable terms lets you select tac ops from 2 of your archetypes, right, rather than 1. I think it's pretty mandatory in Into the Dark for reasons that I'll explain at the end of the video. Zimbad actually thinks it's mandatory in all games, in the overworld as well. He would take those 3 in every game. I think maybe adaptable terms is one that you can flex. Explore is good, and it was an ability in any other, like Phobos have the ability to do an extra scouting step thing, and it's great for them. You know, having an order flip and a dash can be pretty good. You know, there are a lot of times when I really want a dash and have to forego my order flip to get the dash with my novies, right? So I feel like sometimes having both can be really, really powerful. I like that ability. I wouldn't try and game the system and use it to go for the thing that you think will give you the first turn and then go for your order flip or the dash that you really wanted, because that way it lies putting down a lot of barricades. But I think just going, yeah, I'm going to get the 2 decent things, I'm going to get the order flip and the dash, is a pretty good use. It's a real toss-up for me between that and adaptable terms. I think I'll really hard to say no to coordinate and consideration. Seize. So Seize is perhaps where I have a hot take. Seize is the one where everybody, like almost every talking head out there that's done a review of this team is like, oh yes, Seize, that's the one. And it lets you re-roll your dice in the initiative phase after rolling off to determine the initiative. So there's a couple of reasons why this is really strong, and there's a couple of reasons that I still don't like it anyway. Obviously, getting to go first is of vital importance a lot of the time. A lot of the time in Kill Team, we end up in Mexican standoff type situations where the person that's going first at the start of the next turn is going to kill a guy, and if you don't go for, if the other person goes first, they're going to kill the guy instead, right? And so I understand why it's compelling. The other thing that makes it compelling, of course, is that you can see the... Oh no, it's doing that again. Right, hang on, never mind. So you can see what the initiative is like, right? So in other words, if you know that you're winning ties and you know that your opponent has rolled a 2 and you've rolled a 1, the odds are really highly in your favour that you're going to win. It's worth doing in that situation. The problem I have with it is, number one, it's a re-roll, so it could still do absolutely nothing. And you've got the opportunity cost of any of these middle 4 that are definitely going to do something. Right? They are definitely going to give you a bonus compared to C's, which might do something. The other thing is you have to commit to it because these go in order. Once you have gotten to the end of the scouting step and you've retained a use of the warrant of trade, you are holding it for C's. You've chosen C's. You're just choosing when to use it effectively. And so that situation where it's critical that you get the initiative and you've got a high chance of passing the reroll because you can see what the dice are that you've got to beat, that might never come up in the game. And again, therefore it's wasted. So it's a gamble in 2 ways, and a large part of me prefers a certainty to a double gamble. Now, maybe I'm wrong. I'm prepared to accept a lot of people. I'm not very good at this game, and a lot of people have said, no, I prefer C's to any of the others. And a lot of people out there in internet land are plumping for coordinate, consideration, and C's. I think it's coordinate, consideration, sometimes adaptable terms, always in Into the Dark, sometimes explore in the overworld, and for completeness, Zimbad thinks it's pretty much always coordinate, adaptable terms, and consideration. So those are the 3 schools of thought I'm aware of. The one thing everybody can agree on is coerce is trash, and coordinate and consideration are great. You make your own mind up there. If you have thoughts on this, do let me know in the comments. Yeah, and as for adaptable terms, we are going to have a long chat about that at the end of the video as well. So if you're interested in talking about tac ops and archetypes, make sure you stick around to the end of the video. Privateer support assets. I really like these privateer support assets a lot because it's an ion cannon. If anyone's ever played Command & Conquer, this Architect Beam is just like a giant bolt of energy from the sky doing 6-7 damage, AP2. I mean, that's amazing, right? Let's just read through it briefly. We're not going to read the fluff, although the fluff's kind of amazing. Once per firefight phase, when you would activate a ready friendly operative, you can use a privateer support asset instead. Each time you do, select one of the ranged weapons opposite below and perform a shoot action. After you've done so, your opponent activates one of their operatives as normal. You cannot select a ranged weapon you selected in the previous turning point, but you can fire in a turning point thereafter. For example, if you select the Architect Beam in the first turning point, you couldn't choose it in the second, but could in the third, and if you did, you couldn't choose it in the fourth. So you're shooting each of these no more than twice in a normal game. And then when making a shooting attack, for the purpose of the line of sight, you draw visibility and cover lines from a friendly Navis, which is your 3 guys with las guns, your guy with his bolt cannon, and your Voidmaster. And the dog is a Navis, but then it says not the dog, right? Or you clearly evade the Rogue Trader. So you've got 6 models there that can potentially call down this Architect Beam. What I really like about it, really important, other than the command reroll from the Kill Team core book, you can't use any strategic or tactical ploys for shooting attacks made by the privateer support assets. So you can't buff them in any way at all, really. You can have a reroll. They're pretty excellent. I mean, yeah, you're hitting on 4s. But statistically, if you roll 4 dice hitting on 4s, you're going to hit with 2. So you're going to do 12 damage. You might get a crit, right, and you might do 13 damage. That's quite good. It's not quite as good as having 5 silent plasma guns, okay, but it's pretty close. The reason I say 5 silent plasma gunners is because you've got those 5 models that can draw it from their line of sight. So you've got to think about it. You've got a guy with a las gun. He can be stood on a vantage point somewhere behind a barricade with a conceal order. You don't really care about him because he's only got a las gun, right? And he's got a conceal order, and he can't therefore be shot very easily at all but he's creating a massive cone of denial for places that your enemy does not want to end a turn with a model in that cone, right? And then you've got that times, I've said 5 on the slide, it's not, it's 6. You've got that times 6, right? So you can cover most of the board in, well, if you stop here, I'm going to drop this thing on your head. I think that's a massive kind of mind game for your opponent. They're going to want to avoid being hit by it, but they're not going to be able to, and they're not going to be able to kill it, because you're going to have to kill all 6 of those models to remove your ability to bring in this power. Now, let's look at the 3 things. So the Architect Beam is what you're going to use against elites. It's just really good. Really, really good. AP2. Barrage just means you can't ever retain a cover dice for it as well, so you're always just rolling your 1 dice. The Guided Shell is also pretty good. So it doesn't have AP2, it has Blast instead, and the damage is a bit weaker. If you're given the opportunity to get things within a blast of circle, then yeah, if it's a horde team and they've given you the one that you can see and you can get this blast, then go for that instead. Cluster Bomb is more situational. Like, I'm sure there's some maths here. The blast is massive, so it's a distance of blue. The damage is only 2-3. You are getting 5 dice hitting on 4s. I think you're going to be looking for at least 3 guys. If it's going to get you a 3rd guy or a 4th guy over using the Guided Shell against a horde team, maybe use the Cluster Bomb. But you don't need to worry about the Cluster Bomb, to be fair, because you can just go Architect Guided, which I think is going to be your bread and butter in like most games. But then I am playing a lot of elite teams at the moment in my personal kind of home meta, and my last like half a dozen games at least have been against elite teams, I think. Well, apart from one game against Mechanicum when I was up north. Right, let's get into the data sheets. Elucidian. Elucidian's weird. So she has a digital... First of all, let's look at the stats. Movement 3, APL 2, GA 1, Defense 3, 4-up save, 8 wounds. Nah. Guardsman, right? With 4-up save. So, Stormtrooper, I guess. Digital Laser. Hitting on 3, 4 dice, no damage. What? Lethal 3+, indirect, limited, mortal wounds 2. So, in effect, what it is you roll 4 dice, and any that's a 3-up deals 2 mortal wounds. You can only do this once per game, and it's got a range of red. You've got the Heirloom Relic Pistol, which is the same stats, but 4-5 damage, piercing 1, with longer range. Also indirect, so you've got an infinite use grenade here, effectively, red range indirect. Amazing. 99 times out of 100, I think you're better off shooting the Heirloom Relic Pistol. It's going to do more damage. If I'm very wrong about that, if you're a math magician, please tell me in the comments that no, you're wrong. The Digital Laser, I only see you using it against Harlequins or something else with an invulnerable save, because then your mortal wounds actually matter. But realistically, I think against most people, you're not going to pass up the damage, the better damage opportunities on the Heirloom Relic Pistol. You've also got the monomolecular cane rapier, which is allowing you, which is what, 3-6 damage with a lethal 5-up hitting on 3s. That's pretty good. It's a power sword plus, isn't it? Power sword with hit 3s. Yeah, good, fine, excellent. You got a 4-up invulnerable save. Nice to have. Okay. Every time that you are selected, you can perform a free fight or shoot. So, effectively, APL 3 as long as you're fighting or shooting. So that means that, shoot, charge, fight is a possibility, which is great. Yeah. And then this one here, each time the operative fights in combat or makes a shooting attack, if it's against an enemy operative that has fewer than its starting number of wounds remaining, in the roll attack dice step of that combat or shooting attack, you can re-roll 1 attack dice. So what you hope to do, I think, is to shoot somebody, charge them, fight them, and get your re-roll because you've shot them when it plans out. But a lot of the time, you're not going to be ending your turn close enough to shoot and then charge. You're going to have to move and then shoot. But it's nice to have that 3rd APL to dash away or do something else as well anyway. Good. Elucidian. Aximilian, which... on all these others, I've put their old school names on the top from what they should have in the fluff, and then I've put what they've... He's not just a Canid, though, is he? He's Aximilian. I mean, why Games Workshop have you been mean to To those of you that are studying all the videos and that online, just to point out, he's the same exactly as a Croot Hound. So if you understand Croot Hounds, you understand Canids. He has a move of 4. He can ignore the first circle of climb, drop, or traverse. The traverse is the big one there, because he can just bound over pipes and barricades as if they weren't there, which is, yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. He basically does 2 things. So he can't pick things. He can pick things up. He can't do anything else. So we'll come on to how he can pick things up in a second. He can't be equipped with equipment, and he can't perform mission actions. Okay. He has Loyal Companion. So this is where I'm going to start a little bit of controversy, because I read this differently to almost everyone else on the internet, which probably means I'm wrong, but let's try and understand why. Loyal Companion. Each time an enemy operative performs a fight action, if this operative is a valid target, you can select this operative as the target instead. Okay, so that bit, I think we all understand. If someone charges such that they're in base-to-base contact with both your Canid and your guy, you can force them to fight the Canid. You can use him as a shield, basically. And then the second bit here, each time an enemy operative finishes a charge action within engagement range of another friendly Elucidian Starstrider operative within blue of this operative, if this operative is not within engagement range of an enemy, this operative can perform a free charge action, but must finish the move within engagement range of the enemy operative. Some people are saying that this doesn't interrupt the opponent's turn. To my reading, it definitely does interrupt the opponent's turn. So the idea here, clearly, is that they perform the charge. So you've got your Canid following someone around. Say you've got your Canid following around your Rogue Trader. Somebody comes and charges your Rogue Trader. They finish the charge within blue. So you then get to charge them with your Canid, right? And then it goes back to their activation. They're then allowed to presumably do their fight action that they were planning to do after they conclude their charge action. So then they perform their fight action, and then you can bring in the other half of Loyal Companion, and you can force them to kill Aximilian and feel really bad about themselves, and then your trader stands there and is fine. I think that's how it's supposed to work. But I've seen 2 different YouTubers say, oh no, it doesn't interrupt things. Please, if I'm wrong, explain like I'm 5 in the comments why I'm wrong. But to me it says, each time an enemy operative finishes a charge action within engagement range of another friendly Elucidian Starstrider operative within blue of this operative, if this operative is not within engagement range of an energy operative, this operative can perform a free charge action. Not and must wait to its turn to perform a free charge action. It can perform the free charge action. It does it right then and there. Maybe that needs an FAQ, but it seems... If that's not how it works, this whole thing is pointless, because how many times are people willingly going to charge your dog and somebody else, and you'll have to... No. This is what makes it make sense. So this is obviously how it works, isn't it? Maybe I'm upsetting everybody. Retrieve is unique action. So retrieve for 1 AP, perform a free dash, fallback, or normal move action with this operative. Any point during the move, you can perform pick-up action for free with the operative, and any remaining increments of movements can be used after it does. So this is hilarious. This is the dog running away with the pile of sausages. So in games where there is a pick-up option, which is not that many missions in the overworld, and I've not read all of the Into the Dark missions in detail. I don't think it's that many in Into the Dark. But in missions where you've got a pick-up option, then... yeah, that's what he's going to be doing. He's going to be trying to run through, pick up the thing that somebody else has unlocked, get it in his mouth, and then run back towards your lines. I'm pretty sure, by the letter of the rules, you can't perform mission actions, so this lets him perform pick up. I don't think there's anything letting him perform the drop action. Is that a mission action? Don't know. Maybe it isn't. But even so, just a funny image of the dog running around with the MacGuffin in his mouth going, "Arr!" That's great, great. And then in most missions where you're not going to have that, then basically he's like an ablative wound, like a defense drone in combat for you. either your trader or the assassin that we're going to look at in a minute. He follows them around. When they get charged, he charges that in, and then he tanks a hit. He's only got 6 wounds on a 5-up save. He's going to die, but the point is he effectively just wastes an opponent's fight action, and depending on how beefy they are, maybe he gets to do a crit and does 4 damage before they die, which is pretty cool. I like Aximilian. It's a shame he's going to die in most games, because his purpose is to die, unless he's got sausages to pick up. And yeah, if I'm wrong about Lore Companion, and everyone else is right, which I admit the balance of probabilities is probably true, let me know in the comments why, because I don't get it. I don't get why you wouldn't immediately perform the free charge after the opponent had charged, but before they'd fought. I don't understand. Canosso Prond, or as we've been stripped of our names, the Death Cult Executioner, is really cool. So the Death Cult Executioner has 3 APL, it's the first thing to note, and a 5-up invulnerable save, so ignore the fact that you've got a 6-up save, because you've got a 5-up invulnerable save. You've got a power weapon, a very solid one, because you're hitting on 2s with 5 dice, which is amazing. 4/6 lethal 5-up, you're going to turn things into finely sliced meat. Each time you fight in combat in the resolve successful hit step of the combat, you can resolve 1 successful hit before the attacker. If you do so, that successful hit must be used to parry. Remember that we know, because we had all this when the Gene Stealers came out, this works when you're the attacker. It's kind of worded like it's only useful if you get charged, but no, if you charge, you roll, you can do a parry, and then if you're the attacker, because you charged, you can then resolve another dice. And I would suggest, you got 5 attacks hitting on 2s. You've got 8 wounds. You're going to look at your opponent's dice, and I think you're fairly commonly, as an opening move, going to go, okay, parry, parry, take some damage, parry, and then strike twice, right? And hope that you've got enough to kill them, right? But this is a model where you really do want to parry a lot, I would suggest. You've also got a 6-up Feel No Pain. It's really going to help, because Feel No Pain is amazing in combat, which is where the Death Cult Executioner wants to be, because most people in combat get no kind of save at all. You're now getting a save in combat, which throws out your opponent's dice math. It means that you can't do the thing, which I learned from playing my Nurgle, my Plague Marines. It means your opponent can't do the thing where they go, okay, well, I do this, you do this, I do this, you do this, I do this, you do this, so I've won. Because they go, I do this, you do this, I do this, you do this, and you go, but maybe I'll save a wound. Right? Really, really good, just in because of that element there in combat. And they've got order flip, which is really nice to have as well. I don't think you're necessarily using the order flip every turn, but it's quite nice to let you have the flexibility and the threat that even if he's on conceal in the first turn, for example, if your opponent manages to get right up the board, they know that you can flip onto engage or well on, right? And if you've killed somebody, you're on engage and you're in the middle of somewhere, and there's a little bit of cover or something, you can go, well, I'll go conceal. Okay, so it's nice to have the option. You may not do it every turn. You've got a ranged weapon, you've got this Dart Mask, so 4 attacks hitting on 3s, 1/1 damage, lethal 5-up silent, stun. So you're doing it to try and get a stun on somebody, basically. It's for, I guess, you finish a turn within red, but not able to charge somebody. Then you can stun them, and if they're an APL2 model, then they stand there and go, well, I've only got 1 APL, so I can't charge and then fight you. So that's okay. It's very situational though. It's silent, so you don't have to come out of your concealment to use it as well, which is pretty good. But I think I would, let me know if I'm wrong on this, I think I would probably give the crack grenade to the Death Cultist on the basis that she's going to be running up the field. Anyway, she hasn't got a gun, really, that I consider to be particularly useful. She's going to be running up the field. She can throw a crack grenade into somebody with a 3 APL, throw the crack, and then charge and fight, which I think is pretty solid. That's my take on the executioner there. Larsen van der Graus, or now renamed the Lectromeister. The Lectromeister Moves 3 circle, has an APL of 2, GA of 1, Def 3, 4 up, save and 8 wounds. His pistol's pretty interesting, right? 4/4, hitting on force, 4 dice, rending and splash 1. Remember that splash 1 also does the mortal wounds to the original target, so it's effectively going to be 4/5. And you got rending, so you're going to get either, you're going to get 2 crits if you get a crit, which is nice. So you're going to get 2 mortal wounds in there as well, which is pretty good. It's not what he's for, really. It can be, as we'll see when we read his abilities. Voltgeist Array, this is mad. Each time a shooting attack is made against a friendly Euclidean Starstrider operative within 2 circle of this operative, in the roll defense dice step of that shooting attack, you can re-roll one of your defense dice. Okay, good. That's a pretty standard aura, but it's 2 circles, massive. So he's just standing there in, you got central control, you got some points for him to stand on. He's just going to do it. Why not? Right. Missionary of the Martian Creed. Once per turning point during the operative's activation, he can perform a mission action for 1 less action point, so a minimum of 0 AP. That's also really good. Free mission monkey. As we look at when we get to the tac ops, he has a special tac op that you can give him where he's got to do loads of mission actions, so that's a nice synergy, I guess. Although I don't really rate that tac op, but we'll get onto that later. And then the Voltgeist Field and Voltgeist Charge. So these are paired. You can only ever do one of these 2 things. They do take an AP to turn them on. The Voltgeist Field, until the end of the turning point, each time an enemy operative moves within circle of the operative, inflict D6 mortal wounds on that enemy operative. The operative can't perform the action in engagement range of enemy operative or its performed Voltgeist Charge. So he's the king of bunkering down. I don't know, if you've got an objective, you sit him on the objective, you turn his Voltgeist Field, he provides his Voltgeist Array to anyone else in your team that's within 2 circle of him, and you've created a nice little bunker there, right? People aren't going to want to get rid of him, come too close to him, because D6 mortal wounds is a strange little swingy. They're like, oh, you might get 1 mortal wound, which is nothing, but you might get 6 mortal wounds, which is a lot of wounds, So it's very swingy. Alternatively, you can do Voltgeist Charge. Until the end of the turning point, the Voltgeist pistol he's equipped with gains the lethal 4 special rule, which is kind of mad, because it means that you're going to get, for sure, 3 crits. Well, on average, you're going to get 3 crits, right? Because you're going to roll 2 4+s on 4 dice, and then you're going to use rending to promote another. Can rending promote a fail into a crit, or does it have to be a normal? I should know the rules for the game. But still, you're going to get more crits, more mortal wounds, ups your damage a little bit. I don't think it's as interesting as Voltgeist Field, but it might be better just for putting out damage. But I like the mind games of Voltgeist Field in terms of don't come here then, and don't possibly take 6 mortal wounds. By the way, it's the entire range of being able to interact with the objective I'm in the centre of. That's kind of cool. I should say Voltgeist Charge is kind of pants in Into the Dark, because in Into the Dark he'll gain lethal 5 up by default because he has a weapon with splash. Yeah. Right, San. Maybe this is why they got rid of the funny names, Phil, because you can't say them. Sanitizer Minced, probably. The Rejuvenate Adept. I just like remembering that they have names and they are all little named characters with personalities and things. I really love this team. She's pretty great as well, to be fair. So, while a friendly Euclidean Starstrider operative is within red of this operative, it's not treated as being injured. That's pretty good. Only ignore its modifier to movement if it's activated within red. It's still pretty good. That's really pretty good. It's red as well. It could be blue or white and still be good, but it's red. Red's massive. Battlefield Surgery. I won't read it. It's the revive activity, the revive ability, but instead of reviving on 1 wound, you revive on 3 wounds. And then to remind you don't count as injured having revived because you're in range of the normalizer helm. That's pretty good. Healing Serum. Select 1 friendly Euclidean Starstrider operative visible. It's put blood back in, right? But you don't just put D3 or 2D3. You put D3 plus 3 blood back in, because this is the private medicine now. This is the best money can buy. And so yeah, you get D3 plus 3 lost wounds. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. She has a combat weapon that's maybe capable of killing something. Like, obviously you don't want to charge her into combat while you have other people left. But if you're doing badly and your medic's out on her own and you need to kill something, charge, roll your 3 dice, hope to get a 6. Then you've got rending, so you get 2 crits. And then you can do 8 damage maybe. I mean, and that might kill someone. So, you know, 3-4 with rending isn't the worst thing in the world. The last pistol pretty much is the worst thing in the world, but 3-4 with rending's pretty fun. If it really has to happen, you know, it's not the plan, but if it has to happen, you could kill someone. If they're like a guardsman or a novitiate or something, you could kill them, sure. Voidmaster Niched, or just Voidmaster, because again, we've forgotten the names, except for the Rogue Trader. The Rogue Trader's not called Rogue Trader. The Rogue Trader is called Euclidia Vane. Everybody else is just called their title. Why? Don't know. He gives, it's our first hint of some synergy. He gives friendly, well, it's not, because we've got the Electro Meister that's given everybody defensive things, but still, he gives friendly voids within 2 circle. Again, that massive 2 circle range on his aura. You know, where's that on other teams? But anyway, friendly voids within 2 circle, they gain balanced, so they can reroll dice. That's cool. Now, it is only voidsmen, so it is only the guys that we're going to look at on the next page. Okay, the basic Billy basic guys. But still, re-rolling a miss is pretty good. Once per battle in the resolve successful hit step of a combat or shooting attack, you can ignore the damage inflicted on the operative from 1 attack dice, because he's just a badass, right? So he just goes, oh, that dice would kill me, so I'm going to ignore it, and you only live twice, I guess. Okay, fine, good. And then uncompromising fire, he can make a shooting attack with his las pistol and with his close combat profile of his shotgun as 1 shoot action, essentially. So that suddenly makes him a really big threat at close range. You know, he's got 4/4 on his shotgun, hitting on 2s, 4 dice. And you got the las pistol, which is what, 4 dice hitting on 3s, 2/3. And he's got balanced as well, so you can reroll a miss with the las pistol. And we got a piece of equipment we can look at later that will give his las pistol 3/4 as well. And suddenly at that point, you're killing people, right? Maybe you're going to kill against a weak team, you're going to kill 2 people, and against a strong team, you've got a decent chance of having a go at an elite with all that firepower. Why not? Why not? Yeah, he's only got a 5-up save. Spoilers, we can buy him a 4-up save with equipment, and we will. Other than that, yeah, move 3, APL 2, def 3, and 8 wounds. Not bad. Not bad. 8 wounds as well, not 7, which is significant. You know, it's a significant little speed bump. Regrez, Theolus, Shalkus, and Grell, which I'm convinced even people that knew all the other names, but if you go back and look in the original Euclidean Starstriders codex that came out in Rogue Trader, they do have names. So your cigar-chomping guy here is called Rigurez, your Billy Basic guy here is Theolus, the girl one is called Shalkus, and the dude with the massive cannon is called Grell, right? He's a weak as, okay? 5-up save, and just like the Voidmaster, we can buy that up to 4-up with equipment, we probably will. Only 7 wounds. They got 3 of them have to have las guns, and 1 of them has to have a Rotor Cannon, as we saw at the start, and I kind of skipped over it, but 3 of them have to have las guns, 2, 3. Yeah, you can buy them equipment to get them up to 3, 4, but it's still not exciting, and you probably don't bother. The Rotor Cannon is, I mean, it's 6 dice, it's hitting on 4s, it's got 3/4, it's got heavy. Like, the first turn you're not shooting your Rotor Cannon unless you've got really jammy deployment. You're moving him somewhere, and then nicely you can move him somewhere on a conceal and use him to call down the Ion Cannon. That's pretty good use of his first turn, I guess, right? And then from turn 2 you can open up with the Rotor Cannon, which is okay. It's fine. You're probably going to kill something with it, for sure. 6 dice. 6 dice, so statistically you hit with 3. So what, maybe you do 10 damage? Is that logical? Maybe you do 10 damage. It's going to kill a horde thing. It's not really going to kill an elite thing. There's not really any reason to use Fusillade, I'm pretty sure, ever, but especially not on this gun, because again, the possibility is that you're going to do about 10 damage. But you can buff them up. So we've already seen from the Voidmaster, friendly voids when operative within 2 circle, they gain balanced, so you give them a reroll. Rerolls are really good, and 6 dice getting a reroll is really good. But do you want to use your Voidmaster, who's really good when he's at close range? Do you want your Voidmaster sitting back, babysitting your cannon? Probably not. You can't move your cannon up with the Voidmaster because the cannon's got heavy. So I don't think you can buff him up with the Voidmaster. The Voidmaster can buff up the lasgun guys, that's fine. And then they're more accurate with their lasguns. Hooray! A more accurate lasgun! I mean, it's not nothing. And you're going to have to kill things with your lasgun because you haven't got enough models to just ignore them and stand them at the back whistling. They're going to have to do something if you want to win games. But it is a struggle to see. This is the bit where everything else was really exciting, and this is like the well. This is the well. This is the porridge. Like, well, you've also got to eat this. Oh, okay. We have got some Ploys. They're going to help us. We're going to look at the Ploys in a minute, and we can buff them up offensively with the Electromeister. And if we want, we can resurrect them and heal them with the medic. And we can ignore our injured with the medic, which is a 7-wound team. That injured is going to come really quickly, so that's really useful as well. So you're kind of looking at blobbing them up, but of course you can't put your bleeding Rotor Cannon guy, Mr. Voidsman Grell here, can't be in your blob unless your blob's in your deployment zone, and I suggest you probably need to leave your deployment zone with most of your team to play the game. So he's going to struggle to get any of these buffs from auras, and he's just generally going to stand there hoping he can kill something with his... I really don't like the Rotor Cannon. I think it's possibly the most annoying part of the team. It's almost worse than the lasguns because it has heavy. Am I saying I would rather take a 4th guy with a lasgun? No, but I'm close to feeling that way. Let's look at the equipment. So remember that you can get 16 equipment points, and you probably should. Let's go through them first before I tell you my pick. So Flash Visor, 1 EP. You can ignore any or all modifiers to your APL, and you're not affected by the stun critical hit rule. That's alright, it's a nice to have. It's pretty funny to me that you can ignore all modifiers to your APL because you've got cool sunglasses, and yet the most frequent APL modifier you're going to get is either being injured, doesn't seem like it will be affected by sunglasses, or being revived by a medic. Doesn't imagine that will be affected by having a cool pair of sunglasses. But that's okay. Flash Visor stops you getting modifiers to your APL. Good. Carapace Armour, 2 EP for your Voidsman or Voidmaster only, and you can buy up to 4-up saves. You get your 3 Lasgun men, your Chain Gun man, and your Voidmaster, and I reckon you spend 10 EP on buying them all up to having a 4-up save, because I feel like a 4-up save for a 5-up save is a pretty big deal. Right? I don't have any maths to back that up, but I just believe it's a pretty big deal. Hot Shot Capacitor Pack, so you can put this on lasguns and las pistols. I think you put it on the Voidmaster. I don't think you can afford to put it on your 3 lasgun guys. I think they're just sad that they don't have it, but you've only got 16 EP, I mean only, and I think having the there are people who will say, oh, you don't want Carapace Armour, you want the Hot Shot Capacitor Pack. I think, considering you're using these guys, mainly, I would say, the Voidsman with lasguns, your main use for them is to stand them in places and go, well, if I can see you when you finish your activation, you're getting an ion cannon to the face. So you want them to be alive. You don't want to make them have a slightly better, like, ooh, a bolter instead of a lasgun. No. You want them to be alive, right, breathing, and looking on the radio going, fire the ion cannon, kill that, Space Marine Intercessor, kill him, dead, good. Now, we won't maybe get turned into a leaky piece of meat. Okay, splendid. A Flash Visor, so grenades, concussion grenades are stupid. It remains to be, you spend 2 EP for a thing with a 50% chance of doing nothing. Okay, so you select a point, you roll d6 for each operative within white of that point, -1 if they're not visible to you, and on a 4-up you give them -1 APL. Like, I guess, and probably people cleverer than me will say, oh no, it's a really good pick. Well, it's too much random, and there's too much good stuff here. No, there's too much good stuff here and it's too much random. So I don't like the concussion grenade. I think frag grenade is the most overrated piece of equipment in the game. Possibly because I only ever get to play against elite teams. But the crack grenade, yeah, we're going to have a crack grenade, thank you. We're probably going to give it to the assassin. Yeah? And then that leaves us with 1 point for a flash visor, which goes on the assassin or the trader. You know, they're likely to have an injury at some point or be stunned in combat because they're going to be in combat, and ignoring stun in combat's pretty cool. Yeah. So that's it. I think we go for 5 suits of carapace armour for everyone that can have one, a crack grenade on the assassin, hot shot capacitor on the Voidmaster, and a flash visor for the trader or the assassin. Don't know which. Let me know in the comments if you've got a better idea of how to bend your equipment points, but I think that's my plan, at least for my first game or two. Ploys. The ploys are all amazing. I mean, this is the real problem with this team, is it's going to be a struggle not to spend all your CP, which is why I think it's very important to take the extra CP, so you can start with 4 CP. Let's go through them. Strategic ploys first. Lethal proximity. Until the end of the turning point, each time a friendly Euclidean Starstrider operative makes a shooting attack against a target within red of it in the roll attack dice step of that shooting attack, you can reroll one of your attack dice. So, bear in mind that most of your heavy shooting hitters, let's see, you're going to have a crack grenade on the assassin, if you follow in my advice. That's range red. You've got your Voidmaster with his shotgun and his effectively a bolt pistol with balanced. Those are range red. You've got Euclidia Vane with her sort of spooky bends around corners pistol. That's range red. And you've got Van der Graus with his range red gun as well. You've got a lot of potential things that are going to be within range red to use lethal proximity, okay? The only person it doesn't help is the poor old Rotor Cannon guy, or the Lasgun fellas, but we don't really mind about them. The poor old Rotor Cannon guy is going to be there going, oh, okay, another buff that I don't really get because I'm at the back with my Rotor Cannon because I have heavy and can't move. But what are you going to do? Stake claim. You place a claim token anywhere in the kill zone. Each time a friendly Euclidean Starstrider operative fights in combat or makes a shooting attack against an enemy operative within blue of the token, before rolling the attack dice, you can retain one as a successful normal hit without rolling it. At the end of the turning point, remove the claim token. Right, you just put that on an enemy that you feel like shooting, and you get to retain a successful normal hit. Finally, something that can buff the Rotor Cannon, which is probably where you're going to use it the most. But if your opponent has somebody who is, you know, there's a custody, and the custody is on an objective, and I cannot remove him, I will put a token next to him, next to his objective, and shoot him with my entire team, and then maybe possibly he will be dead. Yeah, I like Stake of Claim. I think that's a really good ploy as well. And it's one that can actually buff Mr. Rotor Cannon easily, so that's nice. Yeah, and it's really going to help him because he's 6 dice hitting on 4, so he's going to have some dice that he wants to have as normal hits. Undaunted Explorers, this is also really good. I'm going to say that a lot. Until the end of the turning point, each time a friendly Euclidean Starstrider operative within circle of an objective marker or within red of the opponent's drop zone fights or makes a shooting attack, or fights in combat or a shooting attack made against it in the resolve successful hit step of that combat or shooting attack, be good, or shooting attack, you can halve the damage inflicted on that friendly operative, rounding up from one of your opponent's successful hits. That's pretty good. It's not. It's very good. I don't think it's as good as the first 2. But it affects the entire team, and it's half the damage from 1 dice. It's going to make your guys who only have 7 or 8 wounds much slower to shift. And it's going to be really hard not to turn that on every turn. And yet you've only got so many CP. Yeah, you start with 4 now, and then you can get another 3 over the course of the game. I mean, that's not a lot of CP, and we've not read the tactical ploys yet. And spoilers, some of those are really good as well. New Frontier's kind of sad because it will be really good in any other team, and in this team you're just so spoiled for choice that you're like, oh well, I can leave that one out. It's 1 CP and everybody gets an extra inch of movement on their normal move, but has to move closer to the opponent's drop zone. It's fine. In other teams it will be amazing, but you've got so many things pulling for your CP. Like, it will be tempting to use Undaunted Explorers in every single turn of the game. It will be tempting to use Stake Claim in every single turn of the game. And already, and Lethal Proximity, to be fair, not in every single turn, because turn 1 you're not going to be within red probably. But that's like, you play Stake Claim and Undaunted Explorers in turn 1, so you got 2 command points left. You go into turn 3, you got 3 command points. You play all 3 of them, you use all your command points, you go into turn, and then you go into turn 3 and it's like, well, I got 1 point, what do I do? Really hard to work out what's best of these things that are all very good. Tactical Ploys, combined arms 1 CP. After rolling an attack dice for a shooting attack made by a Euclidean Starstrider, if the target of the attack is an enemy operative that was targeted by another friendly Euclidean Starstrider with a shooting attack during the turning point, you can reroll any or all of your attack dice for that shooting attack. Again, mad. Another thing that you can do to buff your Rotor Cannon, I suppose. A use for your lasgun men, because you don't even have to do damage, you just have to target somebody, and it's got a pretty good opportunity to combo with the Mark Target in the Recon deck, because that is a shooting attack, you target, and then you choose to deal no damage. So you can still use that to proc combined arms if that's what you want to do with your life. It's pretty good. Survivalist, 1 CP. Play when a friendly Euclidean Starstrider operative more than blue from enemy operatives is activated, they regain 4 lost wounds. You can only do it on each friendly operative once. Okay, but that's like 4 wounds just from space. You just get 4 full wounds back. Okay, cool. So if someone's caught too far away from your medic and you need to medic them, you just can for a CP. Yeah. Okay, good. Daring, 1 CP. Play when you activate Euclidean Starstrider. Add 1 to its APL. Add 1 to its APL just for a CP. Yeah, okay. Okay. Okay, I mean, that's also really good. Right, you spend a CP, you get an APL. There are definitely situations where I'd want to make that trade. Especially into the dark with all these doors that require an action point to open. You know? That you can make a 4 APL model. You can put it on your assassin. You can go in, open a door, shoot somebody, charge them and fight them. Why not? All in one turn. Cool. Cool, 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 cool. Well drilled. 1 CP. Play when a friendly Navis operative. So remember, Navis is just your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 men and their dog. When 1 is activated, select 1 other friendly ready Starstrider Navis operative, visible to within red and eligible, and after that model has been activated, you can immediately activate the other friendly operative. It's alright. It's situational for sure. I don't know how often you're going to use it, just because all the other stuff is just so really mind-bogglingly good. So they're all really good. The problem is going to be learning to... a big skill with this team, I guess, is going to be learning when to use your various ploys, because you do need them. As good as they are, you've got to remember, half your team are kind of also Rans, okay? And you need to find ways to buff them up. It needs to be done. How are you going to do that? What order are you going to deploy your ploys in? I don't know. I don't know. Tactical objectives. Tactical objectives. Generally speaking, I don't like the tactical objectives. Okay? Big come down after the amazing ploys, right? So, tactical objectives. Reputation to maintain. Reveal this tac op the first time a fight or shoot action is declared for a leader operative, friendly or enemy. When the tac op is revealed, both players start a reputation tally. If both players reveal it simultaneously, only start 1 tally each. Add 1 to your reputation tally each time a friendly leader operative inflicts a point of damage on an enemy leader operative. In the rare instance the enemy operative did not lose a wound, results in a point of damage, you still add 1 to the reputation tally. Okay? If your reputation tally is 12 or more, you score a VP. At the end of the battle, if your reputation tally is greater than your opponent's, you score 1 VP. So, let's just have a little look here. Let's look all the way back in the rules. There we go. Euclidean Vein. 12 damage with Euclidean Vein. I mean, it's very possible, isn't it? You know, that's a decent round of shooting and then maybe finishing off an assault against an elite operative. So I think for scoring 1 VP, yeah. At the end of the battle, your reputation tally is greater than that of your opponents, so you have to do more damage with your leader than they do with their leader. There are some teams where this is going to be really quite fun and easy to do, because there are a couple of teams out there that have leaders that are like, well, the leader's not the big hitter or a big... I'm looking at you, Bloodied. You know, your leader's just like this guy, you know, who's also there. Or if people are running Phobos and they've decided just to have their leader be someone that stands at the back and generates command points for them, like, well, yeah, you're not really a combat zealot, are you, Mr. Standing at the back Phobos man? So there are definitely teams where you may well outdamage the leader, but you're going to have to really judge this on a team-by-team basis. I mean, don't take it against anybody that owns a plasma pistol. That would seem like a poor move, because plasma pistols are elite. But there are definitely teams that you could take this against. You're going to have to think about the leader and the options that their leader can have. Claim for House Vane. Reveal attack up in a target reveal step at the first turning point. Your opponent selects one objective marker. It cannot be an objective marker that can be permanently removed from a kill zone, but it can be an objective marker that can be carried. At the end of any turning point, if friendly operatives are controlling the objective marker, you score 1 VP. At the end of the battle, if you control it, you score 1 VP. You're going to have to look at this and look at the map and look at the scenario and look at the objective marker that obviously you're going to choose because the one that's the worst for you, and ask yourself, am I getting to that objective marker before the end of the game? Right? Am I getting to the objective marker before the end of the game? Because you can score this, as far as I can tell you, get both points at the end. If you're controlling it at the end of a turning point and at the end of the game, you get 2 VP. So you don't have to get there until turn 4. You're going to be trying to push into your opponent's board half, maybe, to get their objectives, depending on your primary. So again, like Reputation for Maintain, this is one that you can try and score in some matchups. Yes, your opponent gets to control things, and I'm usually against things where they pick. But unlike the one where it's like place a token anywhere on the battlefield, you can at least look at the map and go, well, obviously they're going to pick that one that's next to their deployment zone or whatever it is. Can I get there? Yes or no? And you probably have a decent idea before you have to select your TAC-op. Investigate Motive Force kind of ties up your Electromeister because only your Electromeister can do it. You reveal it in the target reveal step of any turning point. The second time Electromeister operative performs the Investigate Motive Force action below, you score a VP. The third time he performs it, you can score a VP. The friendly Electromeister operative can perform the following mission action: Investigate Motive Force 1 AP. An operative can perform his action while it controls an objective marker not within your drop zone and has not been investigated for motive force. If it does so, the objective marker has been investigated for motive force. So the first question for this is, are there 3 objective markers not within your drop zone? The second question is, do you feel like you can get your Electromaster to all 3 of them? And the third question is, does the game require you to do another mission action on those objectives or just control them? Because if it requires you to do another mission action on the objectives, then you know, your Electromeister can do 1 free mission action. So, but if you more than one, then you kind of feels like you're wasting your free mission action. So 3 TAC-ops there that I think you really have to think about the mission and the army in front of you, and sometimes you can take them and sometimes you can't, but generally speaking I find them quite bad. But I want to have a general chat about TAC-ops now, because this is quite interesting. I know I did a whole rundown on TAC-ops, and we're going to look at it from the point of view of the Euclidean Starstriders here, only because the Euclidean Starstriders are pretty interesting in this regard, because they can decide to take the ability to take things from both recon and security. So the first thing I want to do is just to remind people, I guess, if I take my highlighter, and if we think about Vantage in the recon deck, okay. And if we think about both seize ground and hold the line in the security deck here, right? Those that I've highlighted now in a very messy way, but those that I've highlighted now, they don't exist in Into the Dark. So in Into the Dark, what on earth are you putting in your deck, right? What are you going to try and put in your deck? Let's have a look at it. So let's get the pen here. I'm going to mark things that are just no good for the Starstriders ever. So protect assets. If two or more enemy operatives were incapacitated while within. So that one, I'm going to take the pen and I'm going to say is a, that's a maybe. That is a maybe. That is, if I have my enemy operatives playing a horde team, you know, then maybe I'm going to take that one. Damage limitation. Let me think about that one for a minute. That's the one where you don't have an incapacitated operative. That's a no-go for the Euclidean Starstriders. Okay. That's a no-go. Plant Banner is awful, right? Everybody knows it. So it's where you secretly select an operative, and he's got to go forth and pick up the banner and drop the banner, and it has to get into your drop zone. I'd never take it. Central Control, though, you know, that one is one that I would like to take. So I'm going to put a green mark on that one. Okay, and just for completion, I've scrubbed these out for Into the Dark. But if you're playing in the overworld, then I actually think Seize Ground and Hold the Line are things that you want to have in your deck, right? Well, no, in fairness, Hold the Line is situational, isn't it? Because Hold the Line depends on the drop zones. So let me change that out for an orange. Hold the Line is going to depend on the drop zones. Right, let's go over to here. And obviously, this rag system doesn't tell us the whole story, but mark target. I don't normally like mark target at all, and I'd call it a straight no, but it does have a certain synergy with this team because you've got your Lasgun operatives that haven't really got anything better to do, and you've got your Ploy that means that your marked guy can then be taking more damage the next time along. I don't generally like it because you've got to mark the leader twice, which is a big ask. Right, we're gonna rate that a maybe. We're gonna rate that a maybe. Okay. Triangulate. I'm a big fan of Triangulate. I think that's one of the ones that's easier to score. So let's give Triangulate a sort of a green. Plant Signal Beacon I despise. So let's give Plant Signal Beacon some red. Vantage when it's scoreable. Well, no, we'll give Vantage a green because I think Vantage is pretty durable on open boards. Sure. Retrieval, I absolutely despise Retrieval, and Overrun. I feel like Overrun's actually pretty possible with the Starstriders because you've got quite a large team. So, looking at it, right, in Into the Dark, you've got one from security that you probably want, Central Control. One that you might want here, depending on the team you're playing against. Triangulate that you probably want. Overrun that you probably want. 1, 2, 3, 4. And mark target. Oh, sorry. You know, maybe. But I don't think you can play from one deck in Into the Dark. When you're playing in the overworld and you can take Seize Ground, so you can go Seize Ground, Central Control. If you're playing against an elite team and you've got bad board edges, then maybe you still want to buy the thing. But you can see all this stuff before you decide to do that, right? Because it's select tac op step. So you know what the opponent's team is in the scenario. So then you're thinking about it and going, well, I've got to go back here and look at these. Can I do this? What's their leader like? Can I do this? Where are the objectives? Can I do this? Where are the objectives? And what do I have to do on them? You know, can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do? And if you feel like there's not enough that you care that you can do, then you decide to spend it and go for the recon and give up on other things later in the game. But it's not something where you want to go into it with a fixed idea that you're definitely going to use or not use. It's where you're going to have a real clear idea in your head of what's in both decks and what your tac ops are and what the situations are when various ones are scoreable to build your 6-card deck. It's quite cerebral, I think. Right, hope you've enjoyed the team. I was supposed to go to bed about an hour ago, but there you go. I love this team, I really do. The models, the rules, the lore, the whole package. I'm painting them. I am absolutely shattered at the moment. I decided to make a video anyway, but I've done basically nothing this evening in terms of hobby or anything else like that. Hopefully I'm running a hobby stream tomorrow. where I'll be painting the Euclidean Starstriders. I've left myself the faces and bases to do now, and I hate painting faces on stream, so maybe I'll pick up one of the other Euclidean Starstriders so I can do some base coating on stream. I don't know. I have tickets. Zimbad and I both have tickets to the Warhammer World event in December. So I will. It's quite likely, I think, that I'll be taking Starstriders in December. I might still decide to take Novitiates. You know, I haven't taken them to a tournament since I had some success with them. But I'm definitely going to play some games with the Starstriders and see which I prefer in terms of the team. Do let me know your thoughts in the comments. I've basically been talking for an hour now somehow because obviously I'm really excited about this team and I hope you've gotten something out of the video. If you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing to Tails of Impulse. That really helps me out. It's that big push now to get to 1,000 subs. Thank you to Glass Half Dead for doing his Man Read book, without which I couldn't have stolen screenshots from it and commented on them. So that's really important as well. That's how you're getting this content from me a little bit early. I hope you feel that I've added something to the discourse that's already out there. And have a fantastic evening tomorrow, whatever it is that you're doing. Bye, cheerio.